Hello and welcome to Dell's Gaming, and I'm Dell and the game is From the Depths. Now normally we start on the loading screen, but today we're starting in Designer because today instead of the campaign I'm going to look at a new section called Dell's Labs. So this was something that came up on actually one of Scrope's videos after a comment about having missiles grouped together, so in a battery of missiles you can have more than one missile type ready to fire at the same time. So yeah, I had to give it a go and see what the problems were. So it's a good idea, but it's a lot of micromanaging if you have to do every single missile, which is something I did have done on the Leviathan, but found it a pain when I wanted to change one little thing on one group of missiles. It was awkward. So this is just to show what it's like. So I've set up a couple of test areas. If I walk to the chair there, and this is our first little area. I'll leave my guy here for a second. So the basic issue is this is your standard normal battery of 30 missiles, were laser guided. Now if I wanted to separate them all, have some infrared and some different warheads, etc., I'd have to go to each one and go and change the little part that I want to change. So I want to change that one to fragmentation warhead as an example. Now normally if I wanted to change all of them at the same time, all I have to do is click this assign design to all missiles, all same length missiles, and all of them will get changed at the same time. So that's cool, but let's say I only wanted to do a couple. Okay, now I've got to go to here and change this one to fragmentation, and give that. Now if I wanted to now do a different style, if this one I want to, or I don't know, let's give this one an extra fuel instead. You're getting the idea. I'm having to go through every single one individually to set it up, which is not what we want to do. I'm just setting them all back to where they were. Good things about them is resource usage. We've got one weapon controller, one missile control, and one staggered fire. So it's simple. If we want to shoot this, which I'll have to get my character near just to show what it's like. Come on, if you come out the door, come out the door. There we go. Come on, out. Come on, over. You don't fall off. Okay, over here please, over here. Thank you. Right, now I can control the missiles. So if I just go into a third person view, see I'm now controlling the laser. So if I fire, they stagger nicely and go wherever I'm pointing the laser at in a nice chunk. There we go. So that's nice. And then once they're ready to fire again, we can just fire one more time. So that's cool. So the primary part here is that the six-way control block has to be connected to the missile launch pad. So the problem which is generally not a problem. Now what we have to do is separate the controllers and the missile controllers, because as soon as all your six ways are touching each other, they all get controlled by the nearest controller. Now one thing I can't do is put another controller down. If I go into build mode and now put another missile controller in here, right, now some of these missiles will now be under this control, and it's going to get difficult which ones. They're under 7866, but these are also under 7866. So which one is 7866? Which controller are they now being controlled by? Because they're all the same controller, but there's two controllers. So I don't know which one it is. Is it the one over here? Is this one that says it's connected to 7866? So if I take that off, they're still connected to 78. So basically I can't just put another controller in, it won't work. Firing the missiles, you have the AI controller. Now the AI controller can control theoretically up to 12 controllers, but in a normal formation, here is an example of 8 controllers it's controlling. 2 on each diagonal. Oh, sorry, not diagonal, on each straight side. It will not control a controller that's put in the diagonal areas. If I put them in there, you'll see this controller still is only controlling 8 weapons. Yep. So these ones would not be able to fire if anything was connected to them. Whoops. So we've got all these. We could control up to 8. You could put 2 below as well, so you could put that up to 10, but that'd be awkward and would not fit in. And we need a space on the top for a wireless so it can connect to the mainframe. So how can we organize the 6-way blocks so they don't start touching each other? Once you've got this basic cross configuration, what you need is a couple of ways of doing it, but basically some of the controllers have got to point up, so when you place them, make sure that the arrow, come on, is facing upwards when you place them. That way they'll connect to the 6-way connector above them. Some of them would be facing directly outwards. Here's an example here, and that's connecting to that block. And this one is would be facing downwards, so it connects to this 6-way block. This way you don't have to, they won't touch each other basically, and they'll be separated by a gap of 1 block. So that makes it a little easier, and you could now control all of these separately and have missiles. Right, we'll go and have a look at an example of that in actual practice, in theory, if this all works. Right, okay, let's go to out of build mode and go to our second test missile platform. Right, up to the chair. Right, let's just look outside first. Okay, so the second part is the missile control platforms themselves, the launch pads with a 6-way controller. By putting a 6-way controller in the center, we can control 4 control pads quite happily. As you can see here, the ones at the corner do not get a missile because they are not connected. They are not connected. These ones are connected. Yeah? So we can have 4 for each 6-way. So here is the new example. So we've got 1 controller in the center. Now we've got 7 missile control blocks on here. That one goes down. That one is also going down. That one's straight out, down, straight out, down. So as you can see, each of them have a slightly different way of connecting. Then this one, for instance, goes out and it's connected to these 4. I'm going to start actually at the rear. This one here goes out along here and into these 4 here with their own laser designator. So they've got their own laser designator going through the center, through the gap. This one here also, second one off the back, goes underneath. Whoops. Go here, sorry, it's moving around a little quickly. Comes out 2 and along. Now, although this is next to this controller, because the controller is pointing this outwards, it will not connect to this block and therefore won't try to control the missiles. So there's 2. And the same goes here. So this one is pointing out, down, and ends up controlling these 4. What this means now is I can have a different set in every 4. If I want to change something on here, let's go over to the other side as an example. So these ones are laser guided. If I want to change the warhead, and let's change the ratio a little bit, I can then just do same to all, and they've all got that same setting. If I wanted to change these for some unknown reason, I decided to give these a magnetic head. Why, I have no idea, but click them all the same, and only those 4 get changed. So I'll put that back to infrared, otherwise it's not use. So now we have 7 groups of 4, so that's 28. Now it's a little bit more space, mainly in here. This could be a little bit more compact. Oops. I could at least take these 2 lines off here, maybe even a 3rd line if I worked out the staggers properly. So this could move up about 3 blocks closer. I mean, at a minimum, I could possibly even stagger it a little bit and then make it move up 4. If this was moved over this way, potentially, although I think that might give problems, but that could be slightly closer. This could also be underneath all of the missiles, so it could be underneath. So the area is taken out, it's higher because all this controller. But there is a lot more control required here, but it serves the purpose, and it does fit in. It's a little wider. Yes, the other one was 2, and this one's got these odd ones sticking out. The other idea is, by separating this up, you could put this into the design of your ship. So you could make a good pattern of this for this cross style of look, and put it in there with, say, some into build mode. Let's go. You could put in, say, some metal blocks in the gaps, or maybe even if you want to add a little bit of colour, maybe, I don't know, a stone block for no apparent reason. So you could quite happily make this into a pattern, separating the missiles. There is an advantage also of having something like metal in between, because it does protect the missiles from cannon fire rather than them all batched together. But you know, you could work a little bit on the design to make it a little neater and nicer. Quite a few options there possibly. That also means you could have them almost spread out in a star pattern, or you know, to each of the corners. Get that 8th one in and have one at each corner. So it's like that'd be quite interesting actually to see. That might be an interesting concept of how to produce it, and maybe I'll do one of those later at the end of the video, just to see what can be done. In actual fact, let me go and do that. We've seen this one here. Let me go and have a rework with a slightly different pattern then, just to see what could be done in theory. Back in a minute. Welcome back. So, little creation just to see how compact we can make it. So, now I've only gone too high. So normally you'd have a row of 6-way connectors here. Let's stop this moving around. And then the pads, and then your 4 missiles. So I'm only 1 higher than I would normally be. The controller, if we go into this mode, is in the center here, in the very center. Where are we? Here we are. And we've got 8 controllers, each going down and along. Then they all go to the platform at the top and poke through. So this would be the top of your ship for virtual launches. Now, I'm not exactly the most artistic person in the world, but I just thought I'd just put some patterning in there with different blocks, just to show, we can see where the missiles connect with each other, and also to show that you could make up some type of design or make it into your area. So this is a nice compact area, a square. Obviously you could fit more actual missiles into this area than if they didn't have this particular design. If these blocks here were just metal, it would mean if you could take any damage, you'd be able to protect against explosions blowing up the whole of your ship, which would be handy, to say the least. Oops, let's just think that one needs to change. Okay, cool. Alright, so based on the blocks here, these 4 are all connected together. Here, these 4 are connected. I'm not connecting to the ones next to them. The laser guided ones are all connected together. So here we have 8 sections of missiles, and they could be fairly compact, made into a design. Now obviously I've done this as a vertical launch. You could put this all on its side and make this a forward launch, or very similar to the very first design I did. Just put it on its side and these could all be firing forward separately, controlled different type of missiles. Here we've got a mixture of infrared, some with frag, some with explosive. We could also limit this again. Here we've got 8. I could obviously extend any of the 4s to be a whole new section of missiles. I could also just decide to join 2 of them together, so these 2 laser guided ones could be joined together, or the neighbours could be joined together. Just by putting a 6-way block in and taking out the controller, we can join more of these together, but this is an extreme level. So again, if we go out of here, my character I think is close enough. If we were to fire these all off at this nice little island over here. So the staggering isn't perfect. What I've done is I've put a ½ stagger into each one, and into the controllers I've also put a fire delay. To see how that would work, if I show you one of them as an example, if I can find one. Here we go. So it's got a 1.6 firing delay. So as well as the stagger, it has the initial firing delay before it will start to fire. So it will go around in a circle. It's not as efficient as a proper stagger, but hey, it's a bit of fun. Right, so just to finish this off, since I've got 3 of these platforms around, although they do seem to be possibly attacking each other, I think we'll just bring something in once this has reloaded itself. Hang on. We will bring something in just to see what it's like when it's under AI control. So we'll just go for the standard Marauder. Let's see what all these guys decide to do against the Marauder. So a whole load of them. I have no idea whether this is. I haven't put any elements in for range or anything else here. This is just firing. So all of our systems are now just firing at something, hopefully. So some of the missiles were short, some were long. You get the idea. Whole range of different type of missiles. Some were explosive, some are going to be frag. I think this particular one is no, that's your basic missile turret. I think he's dead already. I think we took his AI out, actually. Yes, dead already. Oh, okay, that wasn't enough. We need something. What should we go for? Let's go for. Let's try a River Home. They're always a bit tougher. Let's see how they do against this. Come on, we should all 3 be firing. There we go. Now it's nicely in the centre as well. Now some of them won't reach because I think I'm a little too far away. Let's get a little closer. Oops, come on. Obviously some of my missile designs are on that one are particularly shit. Ah no, actually the laser's blocked by the Marauder. So that was a see, for instance in this one most of those missiles would have missed because the laser can't get through. Our last one is coming in with a nice laser's hits here. There we go. Nicely attacking. The second one over there came through with a nice section. nice sheaf of missiles coming in there. Yes, that's what we like. So now I could say, okay, these ones which were short, we could rework and either add some more distance or change the targeting, etc. We can muck around with them a little bit. I think we've already killed it again. Don't know. It still seems to be trying to. Some are firing in, but I think it's dead again. Anyway, that's Dell's lab. To come up with some more ideas, we'll work on the covers and the bomb bay doors, etc. idea, and maybe look at some cannons and missile ranges and other little bits over time. So this is another little area, another little list of items that I might get involved in from the depths, just testing things and seeing how things work in the designer and having a little fight. So hopefully you enjoyed that. For some people it might be old news, to some people it might be helpful. Like and subscribe. I will see you soon. Until then, more missiles coming in. Have fun.